on Wednesday held separate meetings with ambassadors of South Sudan, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan and Turkey, with whom she discussed issues pertaining to the strengthening cooperation in the area of education while exploring other opportunities for collaboration.
In a meeting with His Excellency Paul Molong, the ambassador of South Sudan to Uganda, both parties emphasized the importance of fostering strong ties between the two nations, particularly in education. The South Sudanese ambassador expressed his country's interest in aligning its curriculum with the East African region.
We treat Uganda as a second home, and for that reason we value so much the support that has been given by the government of His Excellency, President Museveni, and the entire population of Uganda.
The First Lady, Janet Museveni, reiterated Uganda's commitment to sharing resources and expertise to support South Sudan's development.
Uganda has gone through turbulent times in our history, which taught us to be humble as a people, to know that when others are in need, we must be available.
While meeting the ambassador of Saudi Arabia to Uganda, His Excellency Mohammed Khalil, Mrs. Museveni and the envoy voiced mutual appreciation and a commitment to work together for the benefit of both nations.
I believe that we have the same concerns on our young people and the way they can access digitization and AI if they are not well guided. And so I thought that perhaps it would be interesting for us to learn from your experience and know how we can cooperate in that area.
Saudi Arabia's ambassador emphasized the importance of enhancing bilateral relations between Saudi Arabia and Uganda. Later, Mrs. Museveni met with the High Commissioner of Pakistan to Uganda, His Excellency Muhammad Hassan Wazir. The Pakistan High Commissioner, who said that their mission in Uganda was established 3 years ago, emphasized the strong ties between Pakistan and Uganda in the fields of trade, education, and cultural exchanges.
I hope in future our cooperation and linkages in education field will be further strengthened.
The First Lady expressed interest in trainers from Pakistan coming to Uganda to enhance skills of the technical institutes in such areas as organic cotton processing and infrastructure development. In her meeting with the Turkish ambassador to Uganda, His Excellency Faith, the First Lady proposed collaboration in the training of trainers for the medical professionals.
It's something we would really like to do, so that we can have a health system that is excellent and has trainers who can train our people here all the time.
The Turkish ambassador acknowledged the strong political and economic ties between Turkey and Uganda.
So far, they completed 98 projects in Uganda.
Okay.
Yes, in various areas, vocational training and laboratories to schools, agriculture, especially focused on ladies.
Reporting for UBC, Baguma William.
And government through the Kampala Capital City Authority, KCCA, Ministry of Disaster Preparedness and Office of the Prime Minister is holding meetings to come up with a way forward and litigation mechanisms to address the issue of floods. Government Chief Whip Hamson Obua informed Parliament that these floods are primarily caused by natural factors and human indiscipline, urging citizens to become champions of environmental protection.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Tayebwa, reminded Ugandans about the importance of responsible and sustainable use of the environment and natural resources. While chairing the Parliament sitting, Tayebwa urged the public to be active crusaders of environmental conservation.
At the end of the day, natural disasters do not discriminate, whether you're looking after nature or not, they come for you. So let us be crusaders of environmental conservation and sustainable natural resource use.
Parliament expressed condolences to those who lost their loved ones in the floods caused by heavy rains in Kampala and its suburbs on Wednesday morning. The leader of opposition, Joe Senyonyi, shared that 3 people had died in his constituency, emphasizing the need for the government to reach out to the bereaved families.
My constituency, I lost 3 people. 2 people in Mulimira zone, that's Bukoto, a 3-year-old child and an 11-month-old baby, another in Banda, and of course different parts of Kampala. Families, there are several that are now displaced. We are trying to find shelter for them in churches, in mosques and so on, and take care of them from there. We are hoping that government comes in because many are not able to stay in their homes currently. Of disaster preparedness, in conjunction with the Ministry of Kampala, Capital City Authority, will come in to intervene as quickly as they possibly can. But away from that immediate intervention, and I hope it will be immediate, Right Honourable Speaker, I think that government needs to update this House on what's happening to avert these happenings. Because
Member of Parliament for Kazo constituency, Dan Kimosho, stated that according to the information received in the Environment Committee, 60% of structures in Kampala lack approved plans and are not supervised by competent engineers.
There is Kasese coming, there is Bududa coming, and many other areas. So, Speaker, that the Minister of Disaster Preparedness comes to this House with a plan, the plan on how prepared we are for these disasters. Because yesterday was just, it was a sample. We are headed for more trouble.
The government chief whip, Hamson Obua, explained that the Ministry of Water and Environment had informed Parliament that the months of March, April and May are typically characterized by isolated thunderstorms and heavy rains.
Such that we prepare. We need to prepare ourselves that from what we are experiencing, we may even go to the worst. I want to state that majorly it is attributed to natural disaster, partly also occasioned by our human indiscipline. That is why we will continue experiencing this. I speak, all of them are under the interministerial coordination to ensure that something is done, especially to families affected by the heavy rains.
The State Minister for Disaster Preparedness, Lillian Abel, emphasized that flooding is primarily caused by human behavior, particularly in urban areas, and urged people to take responsibility. She also stated that the government intervenes in the short term by providing relief to those affected. I'm Nafka Farid and Gloria Gwitabinji at Parliament.
Now, Kampala Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago has attributed the persistent flooding in the city to outdated drainage systems, inadequate funding and the encroachment on drainage channels. His concerns are echoed by Daniel Muhumuza Nwabine, the head of Public and Corporate Affairs at Kampala Capital City Authority, who points to illegal dumping and indiscipline of city residents as a key contributor to the worsening situation.
The recent floods in Kampala and its environs have caused significant loss of life and damage to property, with the Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago warning that such incidents will continue unless decisive action is taken.
It's regrettable. To date, we have not received even a single coin towards financing the construction of those 8 major drainage channels, save for some little contribution made by the World Bank towards Zirubiji and Nakamiro. Nakamiro is a secondary channel. Financing implementation of Kampala Drainage Master Plan has been clustered amongst the unfunded priorities. Financing Kampala Drainage Master Plan, just $220 million unfunded priority.
The Lord Mayor emphasizes that Despite identifying 68 flooding hotspots across the city, efforts to improve drainage systems remain hampered by underfunding from the government.
8 drainage black spots or hot spots that needed to be fixed. A budget was made. Again, government said no money.
KCCA officials stress that blocked drainage channels are largely due to illegal waste disposal, a major cause of flooding.
Starting 1st April, we are going to undertake an enforcement exercise whereby if you are caught littering, if you're caught dumping inappropriately, like in the drainage channels, you'll be apprehended and produced before courts of law, where you'll be where their action may be to issue you with a fine, to issue you with a prison sentence, or both.
However, KCCA maintains that it has made significant efforts to clean and expand the drainage network, ensuring that flood water recedes within minutes after heavy rainfall.
It will take 50 minutes for water to clear. Now we took 10 minutes. There is progress of about 40 minutes that have been achieved, and that is not a simple task when it comes to state administration, when it comes to engineering. So we believe we are getting better, and we shall improve as more resources are provided.
Winnie Ainembabas Katrire and Cayenne Faith for UBC.
Meanwhile, several businesses in Kampala are decrying losses from property damage caused by the floods that ravaged the city on Wednesday. Our team visited various enterprises in the central business district to assess the impact.
This is Nyamachoma restaurant at Centenary Park along Ginger Road. They are clearing silt deposited by the flash floods that washed into their premises yesterday.
All the fridges are not working, and actually we need to first check all of them. Yeah, of course,
Centenary Park, a hub for shops, leisure sports and restaurant businesses, was among the worst hit areas around Kampala, which saw water levels rise as high as 1 meter across most business premises.
Now when you look at the restaurant, the business of the restaurant, you must have the fridges, you must have those gas cookers, all they were soaked inside the water. You know, they were really soaked. I don't know where to start from.
Nyamachoma restaurant hosts over 100 people on a normal day, but the floods are now a threat to their business.
We're having business starting on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm having wedding launches. Now I cannot do what? I can't start over. So I have to clean. The way you have seen my boys, they are cleaning. Actually, even me, you phone me when I'm cleaning, you know.
We take a trip to downtown Kampala.
Thousands of pairs of shoes worth millions of shillings docked outside shops, all gone to waste due to the floods that affected various businesses and shops here in downtown Kampala. Some shop owners were wise enough to prepare for such a day, but others, it was unfortunate.
Chaliwo before, nga sinakwetereezaamu gajja ne gankosaako omulundi gumu, sawo ne tubeera mu mazzi ne tuzaanika, ne tubeera nga twanika ensawo, kati ne tulaba nga ddala biyinza okuzika nga bitwonoonedde nnyo.
Learning from the past events where he lost merchandise worth 15 million shillings due to floods, businessman Mr. Livingstone, who sells bags on Qualisel building in downtown Kampala, set his shop up for days like these.
So kati kwe kuyisaamu amaaso ne tulaba nti ekigenda okujja mu maaso kiyinza obutaba kirungi. Kwe kuliya pulaani eyo gye twakola nga bw'ogiraba, ensawo okubeera awo mu bbanga tuzikubira bulungi awazituula nga tezisobola kukola kinga zisobola kugwa mu mazzi ne bwe gaba gazze nga tegalina gye gasobola okuzitwala.
Asked what advice he has for Kampala city planners in regards to addressing the floods, he had this to say.
Bakupulaana b'e Kampala bo nabo ekyabaddewo bakiraba kata osimaye magezi genyizo okuba wakati nga nabo bakirabye bo be balina okuba amagezi ge balina okumpa.
Businesses in Kampala are under threat due to these unpredictable floods and remain at the mercy of creativity and agility to avert the effects if they should stay trading. Wadulo Arnold Mark, UBC News in Kampala.
The Auditor General Edward Okol has released a valuation report indicating $118 million for the unrecovered capital investments by UMEME to UECDL. The report was received by the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among. This below the approved figure of $190 million loan approved by Parliament to cater for the UMEME buyout. Last week, Parliament approved the loan to be secured from Stanbic Bank despite the absence of the valuation report by the Auditor General.
In the report of the Parliamentary Committee on National Economy recently presented to Parliament, the total estimated investments by UMEME as approved and verified by Electricity Regulatory Authority amount to $746.798 million, inclusive of $10.84 million to be invested by end of March 2025. The total amount recovered by UMEME is $625.22 million, leaving a balance of $127.66 million unrecovered investments. In order to beat the timeline for the buyout and conditions for the loan effectiveness and avoid punitive measures, Parliament approved a loan request of $190 million to facilitate the UMEME buyout. The Auditor General Edward Okol has released the final figures for the valuation costs for the capital investments estimated at $118 million, which is about 433.6 billion shillings. This is less by $72 million from $190 million earlier approved by Parliament. The report was received by the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among.
I appointed Ms. Grant Thornton, Certified Public Accountants, to undertake the special audit on my behalf and report to me to enable me report to Parliament and other stakeholders. The special audit has now been finalized.
So we should be able to pay what Auditor General is reporting, not the estimate that we're given. And as we made a disclaimer that day, that we shall only pay based on the Auditor General's report. And after
Later, the Minister of State for Finance in charge of general duties, Henry Musasizi, presented the report to the House, chaired by Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa, and the House adopted it.
Between UMEME Limited and Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited.
This is a report of the Auditor General, who is part of the House. Okay, I don't want to subject it to debate. We just want this report to go to government so that now for us we have finished our part.
A section of MPs has stated approving the final audit report by the Auditor General, calling for its scrutiny. But the Deputy Speaker, Thomas Tayebwa, responded on the procedure of handling a special report.
This, Mr. Speaker, is going to be the first in modern history of Parliament that a report can be read there and MPs pass it without even seeing it.
I think it would be prudent that the Auditor General's report is, number one, verified, studied.
The timeline is honorable colleagues. Otherwise, what do I lose by referring it to the committee? I would love that. But now, if we are to beat the deadline of 31st of March, which is next Monday, that is in the contract, whereby if we don't settle by that timeline, UMEME will get a blank check.
Part of what irks the MPs are the conflicting figures by the respective stakeholders and the fear that more costs may rise in the future.
But also government needs to look at the practice that has been adopted, that government does not need to wait for Parliament before you implement the report of Auditor General. Thank you.
Thank you.
And in the second place, we were meant by rules, and under even a layman person could do this. to go on ground and ascertain exactly what government is buying out from UMEME. UMEME has no specific permanent assets that it holds.
The Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Tayebwa, guided that the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development reports back to the House after implementing the buyout process. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
And the Ministry of Defence and Veteran Affairs is seeking 4 trillion shillings in the financial year 2025-26. Permanent Secretary Edith Butoro says the 4 trillion shillings is to facilitate national programs of the UPDF, defence capability services, and enhance the welfare of UPDF personnel, among others. The MP sitting on the Committee on Defence and Internal Affairs was shocked to hear that UPDF wants funds to assist Uganda police forces in managing the forthcoming general elections.
The Ministry of Defence and Veteran Affairs has appeared before the Parliamentary Defence Committee to defend its budget estimates of about 4 trillion shillings for financial year 2025-2026.
Land force also presents a zero variance. There's no difference between what we got last year and 25-26.
The Ministry of Defence is also seeking for an additional financing of close to 2.52 billion to aid AMISOM activities in Somalia. On the list are also unfunded activities including welfare of UPDF officers, wage of 10,000 recruits that are under training, among others.
We have people recruited already in anticipation that when they come out, when are they coming out? In a few months, they will get salary. We don't have their salary.
The ministry cited a funding gap of 39 billion for UPDF operations in South Sudan.
And this requirement is to cater for operational and logistical requirements for South Sudan, the South Sudan operation.
You have bought Sukhois, you have trained these officers, but if you do not pay these officers, I can assure you that even what you have sent them to do in the South Sudan, they may not give you the results that you require.
The committee tasked the ministry to account for the already secured funds from the Ministry of Finance to facilitate the operation in South Sudan.
UPDF is very creative. They could have carried their small food ratios, but we thank the Ministry of Finance that right now 60 billion has been sent and 39.1 will be covered.
I want to find out from finance where that money came from, because during the supplementary, this issue of deploying in South Sudan did not arise.
The MPs had a back-to-back reaction with the ministry after getting information that the UPDF seeks 139 billion shillings to assist Uganda police forces in managing security during the forthcoming general elections.
Police also budget for election control. Now UPDF also budgeted for election. And then who are the security personnel the EC normally budget for?
Turn to be something else. Just being sure that the Uganda People's Defense Forces is facilitated to take its constitutional mandate first to protect our borders before, during, and after. Wrong people come during election time.
The Deputy CDF, Lieutenant General Samuel Okiding, responded, apologizing to the public on the behaviors witnessed in the recent Kawempe North by-elections, saying that investigations are ongoing.
We are very sorry. We saw what happened. It was purely operational mistakes.
Operational mistakes.
That is not our doctrine. But out of 1,000 people, there are those who cannot control emotional questions.
Sometimes your action speak louder. Now that they have tendered in their apology, we would like to see the action of our UPDF, the action of police, in fact, the action of all the security forces, how they would behave from now on.
Lydia Chomkama, and Gloria Gutabinji, Parliament.
And the Minister of State for Finance in charge of general duties, Henry Musasizi, has presented the budget estimates for the financial year 2025-26, totaling to 71.9 trillion shillings. Henry Musasizi explains the adjustments in the budget, including funds to finance the electoral roadmap, AFCON, and other emerging issues. In the Thursday morning plenary session, Musasizi also tabled the tax bills 2025, which will facilitate the financing of the upcoming budget. Among the bills, the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2025 intends to extend the tax exemption of Jagali Hydropower Project up to 30th June 2032 and provide for the exemption of startup businesses established by a citizen for a period of 3 years from tax.
6 trillion at the second budget called Satchela stage. Now it has moved to 71.9. Why the movement? The movement is because at the time of budget framework paper, we had not, for instance, incorporated the recommendations of Parliament in the budget. And also, there are other items which were not captured in the medium-term expenditure framework, which required to be captured. Then, with further consultations, this year we have adequately provided for domestic arrears. We have adequately provided for the electoral roadmap under the National Electoral Commission. We have adequately provided for other emerging issues in the health sector, in the education sector, in implementation of our public infrastructure projects, in the AFCON, among others. So all these factors combined, on top of our critical enablers, the ATMs, we have had to adjust the resource envelope upwards in order to enable us provide for all the critical items. The Electoral Commission requires about 250 billion to conduct general elections. There as additional requirement, which we had not yet provided for, which we have provided for. But the total budget for the Electoral Commission is over 500 billion to cater for elections and other expenses of the Electoral Commission.
Because next financial year, the forecast is that we will raise 35 trillion shilling in local revenue through Uganda Revenue Authority. But that money is never raised, it's just a forecast. On average, they have been raising about 27. So which means a budget of 72 trillion shilling. And you're going to raise only about 35, and in actual fact, you will never raise them. It is just to create expectation in the public that they have a budget when you don't have money to finance it, or else you will be borrowing. But actually, our public debt has also become unsustainable.
I refer the draft budget estimates and the attendant documents that have accompanied it to the Committee on Budget.
Bill 2025.
Honourable Minister.
And with that, we take a quick break. When we return, more details.
Come on, in my pocket, tambula body street, issues are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission, internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Oro cash is gone, netagayo karoni, nigga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good.
With you and MTN. MTN together. Our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable!
Step into a world of excellence, comfort, and pride with Royal Foam Furniture, crafted to perfection right here in Uganda. We bring you state-of-the-art living room furniture and bedding products at affordable prices. Our wide variety of mattresses include orthopedic, pillow top, spring mattresses suitable for institutions like hotels, and many others for home comfort. With every piece telling a story of royal excellence, our products are built with the highest quality materials made to last. Experience royalty with Royal Foam Furniture, proudly made in Uganda, so buy Uganda and build Uganda. Visit our showrooms at Ginger Road, Chambogo Junction, Bukoto Chisasi Road, and on Victoria Mall, Entebbe, on the first floor.
Welcome back. The Deputy Inspector General of Government, Dr. Patricia Achano Kiria, has challenged senior women police officers to provide effective stewardship to subordinate female officers within the Uganda Police Force. Dr. Achano was engaging senior police officers at the Police Senior Command and Staff College in Bwebaja while marking Women's Month.
The special lecture delivered by Dr. Patricia Achan at the Police Senior Command and Staff College in Bwebaja centered on accelerating action for women's leadership in the police force.
The leaders should mentor the young officers so that they have somebody they look up to in order to build their competencies, especially in their work. And I also encourage the leadership to open up opportunities like this for training to better even the women who have got responsibilities, and also encourage deployment, especially being mindful of their roles.
When people are trained, they have the skills, the competence to take up leadership and make decisions that not only impact the Uganda Police Force, but the world at large.
Officers were encouraged to role model and provide recommended stewardship to subordinate female officers.
It's important for the top leadership, the women in high positions, basically to inspire those officers, those young officers, by demonstrating a good example, walking the talk, and discouraging this bad behavior and mischief in the forces. And it starts from home. If you're a disciplined wife at home, then you should be equally disciplined while in service, because we are serving a government which really we need to paint a very good picture and image of the country.
The Deputy IGG also informed officers about the mandate and recommended police support during the enforcement.
Issues of security of the state, issues of the right to privacy of the individual, and so on. So we have to continue with this conversation in a view of having that law amended so that we take care of this component of security of the state, because it's a very touchy issue.
The college organized this special lecture in commemoration of the International Women's Day. The exercise was designed to retool senior officers with dynamic operations and management skills.
And having leaders who understand the cost and the impact of corruption to the economy and to the well-being of the community, because then service delivery is what we exist for, will make the narrative even more important, so that we stop, we prevent, we create awareness.
Other areas where the Deputy IGG engaged these senior officers included understanding their role in the fight against corruption and the protection of human rights. Komagum Rogers and Abdul Nasir Luwama for UBC.
The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Twine, has reassured the public that the malaria vaccine that is yet to be introduced in the country on the 2nd of April is safe and effective, stating that the vaccine has been scientifically proven to reduce severe malaria and death in young children. Atwine met the remarks during the engagement meeting with religious leaders on malaria vaccine introduction and routine immunization in Kampala.
Malaria remains a major public health challenge in Africa, with Uganda among the 11 countries that bear 70% of the global malaria burden. Dr. Diana Atwine, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Health, noted that the introduction of malaria vaccine marks a critical milestone in Uganda's fight against malaria, reinforcing the commitment to malaria control and child survival.
As Ministry of Health, we cannot bring something that would give to the public without looking thoroughly in the science of development, in the science of clinical trials, the outcome. WHO reviews all those clinical trial data. By the time they approve and rolls it out all over, we have gone through that phase of safety and efficacy.
So despite all these efforts that Uganda has been using to end malaria, we recognize that misinformation and vaccine hesitance remains a challenge.
We have had malaria for a very long time. So literally it has ceased being a health issue. It's now a family issue. And they interface with the family members almost on a daily basis. So we would like them to appreciate that preventing malaria is not a responsibility of Ministry of Health. It is a responsibility of all of us.
The vaccine will be rolled out to 105 high and moderate malaria burden districts, covering more than 1.1 million children who are less than 2 years. The vaccine will be administered in 4 doses to children starting at 6 months, 7 months, 8 and 18 months respectively. The Ministry of Health top management engaged religious leaders at a high-level consultative meeting on the introduction of malaria vaccines into the routine immunization schedule.
We are also here to strengthen the bond between the Ministry of Health, the religious community, and healthcare providers. This partnership is vital for achieving the long-term success of vaccination efforts, and together we can build a healthier and more resilient Uganda.
This is not a health victory. It is a moral and spiritual one. When we save a child's life, we honor God's gift of life itself. As we proceed today, I urge each of us to commit to this cause.
We have already heard today how this malaria vaccine, born from decades of research and global collaboration, offers a powerful tool to reduce suffering and saves lives and brings us closer to a malaria-free, I hope, by the year 2030.
Uganda is the 19th country in the world to introduce the malaria vaccine and is undertaking the largest rollout globally. Countries like Kenya, Ghana and Malawi, where over 2 million children have already received their vaccine, are safe and protected against malaria. Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
Now, a growing number of young people across the country are not engaging with government programs designed to support their education, employment and community development. Youth leaders attribute this gap to a widespread lack of information. Let's take a look.
As Uganda continues to be celebrated as one of the best refugee hosting countries, efforts by private entities like NG Energy Access have been applauded. NG Energy Access, which is a pay-as-you-go solar and mini-grids provider with affordable and reliable solutions, has installed 40 solar security lights in Umanzi settlement that hosts over 40,000 refugees.
And the prize has been actually chosen by the community itself. And they decided actually to be rewarded through the installation of 40 street lights all across the settlement, which will provide actually more safety, more security, more light, of course, to the households living in this area.
The solar street lighting project is a response to the community's outcry over deteriorating safety and security, with defilement, robbery, and theft hitherto reported daily.
People have been robbing our local people around here. The girls are being impregnated. These young girls, they are being dropped out of school because of some of these things here. How can we address this? We can address the issue of GBV. These solars are planted in strategic areas where we feel that these places are dark spot areas.
They have planted these poles for security lights, but we have never connected even a bulb, okay? Because we don't have the money to pay what? To pay, okay? For the units that we shall be what? Using. But where now we have solar, you understand? Okay, it's working. Nobody is paying for it, you understand? My refugees, of course, enjoy these services.
Some of the beneficiaries we talked to commend the positive support this project has imparted onto their businesses.
Me, I'm selling maize. Before the light, they donated the light. We were going home early, but since the light is there, we normally go very late.
I charge my phone with it. It makes me to stay here for long, and it keeps my business so good because at night hours thieves cannot able to come here to attack the whatever to break my door.
This latest act of generosity by NG Energy Access Uganda is part of the Mysore Super Village competition that will benefit Bududa Health and Iganga Education. Nyumanzi Refugee Settlement is a holding area established in 2014 and hosts more than 40,000 refugees, mainly from South Sudan.
And drama ensued at the International War Crimes Division of the High Court when one of the suspects in the attempted murder case of General Edward Katumba Wamala and murder of his daughter collapsed in the dock during the hearing, case hearing, and still resisted to be carried out of the dock by prison wardens. The case, presided over by a panel of 4 justices of the court, ordered prisons to carry out a medical examination on the accused and avail court with a report in the next sitting.
The suspects in the attempted murder of General Edward Katumba Wamala, murder of his daughter Brenda Nantongo, and driver Runa Kayondo include Kagugube Muhammad, Walusimbi Kamada, Kisambira Suleiman, Abduraziz Ramadan Dunko, Habib Ramadan Marajan, and Iwampa Huzaifa Elias Kanabe. The 6 appeared at the International War Crimes Division of High Court in Kampala to kickstart with a hearing of the case. However, no sooner the court started the hearing of the case, accused number 4 Ramadan Abduraziz Dunko suddenly collapsed in the dock. Attempts by the prison wardens to carry him out of the dock. This prompted the panel leader to order a standoff of the matter for 10 minutes to enable the prison authorities, who are expected to avail court with a report regarding his health condition during the next court sitting.
So the order is that A4 be examined by the prison's authorities, medical authorities, and any other relevant medical authorities as may be necessary, and a report of that examination and the treatment that has been provided if he's in need of treatment be availed to this court at the next sitting, which is 24th of April 2025.
Well, as court was ready to proceed, prosecution also asked for more time to allow them file a witness protection application.
Concerning the prosecution's prayer for an adjournment, it is granted as prayed for to enable the prosecution interact with their witnesses they organize themselves for the hearing, dealing with all security concerns that they need to deal with, and that should all be done by 24th.
Court will resume on 24th April 2025 to kickstart with a full hearing of the case, as prosecution will be expected to present the first witness. The 6 suspects are facing charges of terrorism, 10 alternative counts of murder, 12 charges of attempted murder, 4 counts of aggravated robbery, rendering support to terrorist organizations, terrorism financing, and belonging to terrorist organization. The attempted murder of General Edward Katumba Wamala, murder of his daughter Brenda Nantongo, and driver Sergeant Haruna Kayondo happened on 1st June 2021 at Kisasi Nakawa Division, Kampala District. Deborah Namamonde, Viola Nansubuga, UBC News.
The International Trade Center, in collaboration with the East African Community Secretariat and partner states, is spearheading efforts to enhance export development within the region. As part of this initiative, a memorandum of cooperation will be signed to bind the stakeholders together in implementing a structured work program.
Come on, mo pocket, tambula about the street, issues are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission, internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. All cash is gone, netagayo kaloni, nigga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable!
Mera ngenze mboni pa Sam anazanya ruto ganyiga star 278 then hash kujja kubanga oyingide mu kazannyo nga sente zino zimula wano zina wangu zino wano milioni 10 ebintu wanasooka biraba ku TV nange saasoka kikiriza ninga mulaye kino kinzo kubanga kituufu oba yaddala tibya bufere sente zo nazifunye zo nazikoze eki naziwangudde amasanyu nyina mangi ebyoto byange byembadde njagala ngenda bituukiriza.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory.
Now in business, the International Trade Center, in collaboration with the East African Community Secretariat and partner states, is spearheading efforts to enhance export development within the region. As part of this initiative, a memorandum of cooperation will be signed to bind the stakeholders together in implementing a structured work program.
Terms of reference for a technical working group have been agreed upon, with the execution of activities ensuring continuous deliberation and strategic planning for trade promotion within the East African community.
Trade promotion agencies have been able to build a work program, a 4-year work program that outlines what will be the key objectives that they will be pursuing over the 4 years, what will be the activities they will be jointly implementing, what will be the outcomes, and how do these contribute to export development of the East African community. So as a result of the agreement for that work program, they are going to sign a memorandum of cooperation which will bind them together towards delivery and implementation of the work program.
A key objective of this initiative is to improve trade performance within the region. Currently, the East African community imports more from outside Africa than it exports.
So we want to build, improve that balance by also increasing the exports that come from the East African community. It's also very, very important to appreciate that a number of the businesses that are involved in export are small businesses, businesses owned by women, businesses owned by the youth, businesses with very few employees, but businesses that can make a huge contribution to trade and trade development within the community.
Stakeholders are focusing on enhancing exports from the region, with particular attention being given to small businesses, including enterprises owned by women and youth. Environmental sustainability is a crucial aspect of international trade, particularly as regulatory frameworks become more stringent.
In the region, there are regulations that we are expected to comply with that are environment related. This program, funded by the EU, supports us to build capacity for our coffee traders to share information, to help them understand how this regulation is going to be implemented and what they need to do to comply.
Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
And Bank of Uganda Governor Michael Atinga has urged commercial banks to intensify their efforts in combating money laundering and terrorist financing. At an anti-money laundering and financial crimes public and private sector dialogue in Kampala, the governor emphasized the importance of strengthening cutting-edge tools and data analytics for real-time monitoring.
Uganda was grey-listed by the Financial Action Task Force in 2020 due to deficiencies in countering money laundering and counter-terrorism financing. However, in February 2024, the country was removed from grey list after improving its reforms.
Money laundering is a major issue for most African economies. Uganda has done brilliantly in being able to leave the FATF grey list. But the biggest risk that we face is that many countries that leave the FATF grey list almost immediately at the next cycle go back on the grey list again. So that's the purpose of this conference, is to make sure that we in the private sector are working with the public sector to put in place the mechanisms and all the necessary rules and regulations that will ensure that Uganda never again returns to the FATF grey list.
At an anti-money laundering dialogue, the Governor Bank of Uganda, Michael Atinga, urged financial institutions to strengthen their cutting-edge tools and data analytics for real-time monitoring.
Now, the 2023 National Risk Assessment highlighted that cyber crimes poses a high threat in money laundering. Cyber attacks are increasingly sophisticated and they present a significant risk to financial institutions. All stakeholders therefore must strengthen their capacity to manage cyber crimes as it generates illicit proceeds.
Uganda's grey listing had dire consequences to the economy. A decline in foreign direct investment and cross-border transactions were registered. Banking sector collaboration and tech upgrade to match the ever-changing banking trends is recommended.
That we are all grappling with, which is the cyber space and its linkages to AML and terrorism financing. So there are some, of course, people that are innovating for completely wrong reasons. Theirs is to process transactions that are done without going through the normal systems of screening. But I can assure you that we are also heavily spending money to ensure that we deal with that threat from a cyber perspective.
Uganda is now required to sustain the reforms initiated during the FATF grey list period and further strengthen its AML CFT regime to avoid future grey listing and its consequences on the economy.
Uganda passed the Anti-Money Laundering Act to counter illicit financial flows, which now excludes non-government organizations, churches, and other charitable organizations from the list of accountable entities. Sada Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
And that does it for News Tonight. For now, we do return at 10 o'clock with more details. Deborah Namuyomba on sign language. I am Rhoda Ngozi. Good evening.